There's so many people that are my friends. Some of them even hate the work that I do, helping refugees. They will come just outright and tell me that, this country should stop taking all these refugees. We are inundated with immigrants, you guys should just stop all of this. And then at the end of the conversation, they'll tell me, oh, well, I have a couch in my basement that I don't need. If you have any families that are newcomers that need it, you can take it. So
Yeah.
it's funny, like you can have all these differences, but again, you can form that friendship by doing the helping, the humanitarian work.
In a world that feels like it's continuing to divide, where we're putting up walls against anyone different than us, and we avoid conversations because we're so scared of saying the wrong thing. Through this, we've lost our ability to connect and really understand one another. As someone who struggled to come out, I know how isolating it can feel to be defined by a label and misunderstood. Last season, I sat down with incredible people, and in just an hour, I learned so much more about them and how we can truly support one another. The tools we uncovered were powerful, showing how vulnerability and listening can bring us together. There are so many more stories to tell, and I'm excited to dive deeper this season.
People see me as many different faces. I wear a lot of different hats. Some people see me as a community leader, a volunteer in the community, a single mom, an activist, a peace activist, a social justice activist. They see me as a humanitarian sometimes. I see myself simply as a helper, somebody that tries my best to connect people, a connector to people that need help, to the rest of the community that can help them out. I am the product of parents that always looked after their community. My parents were my best example, and they helped their community, their family, friends, whoever needed help, they did that. So I just grew up seeing that. Everything from helping them financially or with household goods, even to help them get married.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
So that's me.
I love how you summarized it into that you're a helper.
We created this group on social media, on Facebook, called the Calgary Immigrant Support Society. We created a space which I think is the most welcoming space for newcomers. Whatever you need, whether it is something as simple as making a house into a home, or you're going through some sort of a crisis, or you're looking for jobs, or you're needing help with resumes, or anything, even financial help, rent, utilities. If you're really needing help, you come out and ask, and if you've tried your level best in whatever organizations are out there, if you can't find help, you come to us. So whatever help and support we can provide, I do that. I also see myself as an advocate for immigrant and refugee issues, advocate for anti-racism issues, advocate for gender discrimination. I see myself as a community organizer as well, a community builder, somebody who provides allyship to not just issues that are important to the Muslim community, but also intersectional issues too. Any discrimination that I see is happening around the community, I try my best in my capacity to highlight them. If it is something that is important for my community to understand and give allyship to, then I try and do that as well.
What's the best way that you found to bring people together, to get people to want to help?
You have to show people beyond the politics. Show them when you're trying to help somebody out, when you're trying to do something for humanity, it should be a uniting factor. So that's something that's important to tell people, and that's a way for people to come and unite and help each other in our neighborhood. So
Yeah, I love that, because I think we all know there's so much divisiveness that happens, and that human rights shouldn't be a political thing, right? And us helping each other, and us, like, it would be a beautiful place to get to, that people have different beliefs, but they still are willing to help, and they're still willing to lend a hand and see, like, you're in pain, you believe in, like, you're on a different side than I am, but I see your pain and I am human and you are human and I can help you.
Exactly. But then that's the Canadian story, you know, of all these Canadian people coming together and welcoming these people that have fled war and trauma and the devastation that you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
And they finally arrived here. And it was beautiful to see how many families in Canada stepped up to sponsor them, welcome them, make them their families, you know, and they continued that relationship years later.
Yeah.
You know, many of them did that beyond the 1-year sponsorship. In fact, most of them.
Yeah.
You know, and when you hear it, talk to them, and they'll tell you that, Saima, it isn't just me doing something for this family. I got a lot out of it as well. I got tremendous amount of friendship and love and the delicious dinners that they got from these families. They said, this is something that I've never tasted food like this before.
Yeah.
And it was not just once, it was every time we'd visit. So there's that too.
And the amount of food, right?
A lot comes from the Muslim culture too, that, you know, you treat guests with the utmost generosity, respect, friendship. You go to one of these refugee families' house, they would, even though they have so little, they would do everything to just fill the table from one end to the other end, you know, so with lots of food. So it's amazing to see. I started doing this whole work right after 9/11. It changed my life completely. I was just a UFC student at that time. And what I saw happening to my fellow Muslim students, where CSIS would show up just because you wrote an essay where you might be perceived as a terrorist, where I would see, you know, from that to, you know, in front of the university parking lot, people would throw full beer cans at women in hijabs and abayas. It was horrifying, you know, and I realized that my whole identity as a Muslim is under attack. And I needed to do something to speak up and tell people that we're not terrorists. And whatever platform I could to tell people that we're not terrorists, you know, we're just like you and me. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we get dressed, we go to work, we try to do as much as we can for ourselves, for our work, our children, and that's who we are. And we try our best to do all of that while we maintain our faith as well, you know. So from that incident, everything changed. And the amount of Islamophobia I faced, you know, in my activism work, even in my humanitarian work, you know, as much as it unites people, it brought a lot of haters out there too. And you know, it's just, I didn't stop. Because there was so much work that needed to be done, and I could see that the work was making a difference. It was just, people, Canadians, at the end, they're amazing. They can be, there's a lot of them that are racist, but there are a lot of them that are really amazing. So when they stood by you, they gave you the strength to keep on moving forward.
For you personally, how have allies shown up and what has that looked like?
Allyship is all about, for me at least, listening first. You know, listening to the people that are really, they're experiencing this.
Yeah.
And then take the lead. You know, it is about waking up in the morning and telling yourself, what can I do to be a good ally to this? I don't even need to wait for the lead from somebody else. What can I do? You know, and also, how can I do it even when my friends and my family would be uncomfortable with me doing it?
Right.
You know, so that's important. That's called allyship. You know, even there's so many divisions, you know.
Totally.
There's so many people that are my friends. Some of them even hate the work that I do, you know, helping refugees. They will come just outright and tell me that, you know, this country should stop taking all these refugees. We are inundated with immigrants, you know, you guys should just stop all of this, you know. And then at the end of the conversation, they'll tell me, oh, well, I have a couch in my basement that I don't need. If you have any families that are newcomers that need it, you can take it. So it's funny, like, you can have all these differences, but again, you can form that friendship by doing the helping, the humanitarian work. So then when they'll say that there's a couch, then I send the refugee family or the immigrant family that needs it directly to their house to pick it up.
Yeah.
So then when they see them, they get to know them. Just a simple hi, hello, and just the conversations while picking up those furniture, the connection that is made, that can break that barrier of what that person was feeling.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So most of the time, these people have never met a refugee or an immigrant or a Muslim or any of that. So it's the same, you know, people haven't met the other. People
Yes.
haven't even gone beyond the meeting to form that friendship. Once that friendship is formed, then those barriers start breaking slowly.
Totally.
So yeah.
I feel that, and you're so right. Like there's just so many divisions out there, and if people just knew each other.
Exactly.
And I
Exactly.
love what you said, is that so much of it can be done through the humanitarian work.
Exactly. When you're helping, you're not talking about your lifestyle to them. You know, when I'm helping, I'm not talking about my lifestyle to anybody, you know? So it's just you're coming together for a purpose to help a family. And that's that, you know? But then you get to know each other on a very personal level. And that's enough sometimes just to break that barrier.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's connecting here and not here.
Exactly.
Right?
It's to go beyond all this perceptions that you had about that person's lifestyle or that person's politics or that person's whatever beliefs that they had. We have to have this continued conversation, and we have to also have this continued education and friendship that needs to be built so that people are not afraid of each other, people are not hating each other, people are not seeing each other as the other, you know, us versus them. We have to break these divisions and come together as friends, find a platform.
A big question for me is, what is going to remove our divisiveness? And you mentioned a few things. One, education. Two, maybe a shared purpose. And then another one that you mentioned was just getting to know each other.
I even had like this one lady whose kid was autistic, and he wouldn't play or do anything with anybody's kids. He would just be on his own. You know, he did not know how to play with other kids. The first kid that this kid connected with is when the mom started volunteering with a Syrian family, and the kids did not speak a single word of English.
Right.
So they somehow connected with this autistic kid, and they would play in their own language, you know? So, and the mom was so shocked that, you know, my son, he never plays or does anything with any other kids, but he's just playing fine with this kid, you know? And it's like, it tells you, you know, when you don't have language, there's ways that, you know, kids, they develop a connection, and they are just becoming kids together. So this mom told me that, Saima, it isn't what I gave to these Syrian families as a volunteer, it's what they gave to us. They gave us a huge gift, you know. They made my son have a friend that he could play with, and he never did that before. So I was like, wow.
That's beautiful. Okay. So with all your work with newcomers, you've invited people in to help. And by inviting people in to help, then they get to know each other. And once they get to know each other, suddenly there's not that divide. Suddenly you're a human, you are a person. You have likes and dislikes that are different than somebody else that looks like you to me, right? And you start seeing the individuals instead of this blanket statement of everybody is like this.
You know, when we started working in the warehouse, the donation center, when all the Syrian refugees were coming in, and we had these big spaces, warehouses that were given, where we had furniture and household items that people would drop off. And we had the refugees that were coming in, not just from Syria, but from all over the world. They were coming in to pick them up. But mostly they were all Syrians, because at that time there were so many that were coming in. So we had people that would come to volunteer, but we had also people, regular Canadians, they would just come and just stand there and see what's happening, who are these people. And it's so interesting to see that people sometimes just see something in the news and they have no physical interaction with them, and they have no space for anybody to invite just the general public to just come every day. Not just on, okay, you can come on this time during this event at this place, but just on a daily basis. You forget about all the fears that you might have. Just come and see. It's this bustling place, where donations are coming in. It's going all for free. Volunteers are coming in and helping out. And it's just anyone. We didn't have a very rigorous process to vet people. It's just, okay, you can help sort the shoes, go sort the shoes. You can help wipe down all these donations that are coming in, please go do that, And you just want to stand there, well, don't just stand there, talk to them, you know? Come and say hello. And it's like, really, I can? I'm like, yes. I'm like, I don't know how to speak English. You know what? A smile doesn't need language. Just go smile at them, walk around with them, play with them, and you will break all the language and cultural barriers. So this is what you have to create to build the bridges between these different communities, and to start that spark of friendship, to overcome the fear of the other, and everything, the magic happens, it just follows.
I love that. And I love in that situation that you didn't bring judgment, because it'd be easy to be like, what, like, are you serious? You just came to watch? But instead you allowed a bridge, and you realize, like, okay, that's somebody's tiptoe step, right? And if they can tiptoe, then maybe they can step in further and further. And
yes, that's one thing that people label me as non-judgmental. So I try my level best not to judge, and even if I do judge, I keep it to myself, or I just discuss it, for a reason. How can I overcome this, and this way people don't feel that, okay, I'm being judged, and so I'm not gonna do this anymore. So yes, if you're doing something very harmful, I will tell you, I will judge you. So but if it is just you overcoming something, your curiosity, or you trying really hard to step outside your discomfort to find out what else needs to be done, I will welcome you. We are here for it, to offer that education, offer that friendship, offer that whatever we can in our personal capacities as volunteers, as helpers, to try and make you understand, these immigrants, these refugees, they're here for a reason, because it was very unsafe for them.
Thank you for bringing that up. It's so true. You said you were an international student.
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, first of all, from day one, I arrived here in August 15, 1998, and the University of Calgary became my home. Like, I loved this city. I loved the university from the moment I stepped foot. Like, absolutely loved it. I would spend a lot of time studying in the library, very focused on my school, because I was like indebted to my parents for sending me here and paying all that tuition. So I just focused on my school. But I was very active in different clubs in the University of Calgary. I'm originally from Bangladesh. I became the first non-Pakistani to become the president of the Pakistan Student Society at that time. So that was funny. My dad had a chuckle, because if you know the history between Bangladesh and Pakistan, we used to be one country, so we fought each other. East Pakistan and West Pakistan, they separated. So anyways, my dad couldn't believe that, this Bangladeshi girl became the president of the Pakistan Student Society. That was funny. But anyways, that was just one vehicle to help more new international students that were coming in, to help them settle down, But then I just became very active in whatever fronts I could to speak up on human rights issues, very early on from my stay as an international student. And the journey kept on growing and continuing.
If you could go back and tell your little self something, what would you say to little Saima?
That's a really good question. I always thought of that. I'm like, what would I tell myself, I'd tell myself that, even though you will be selflessly giving yourself to your community, don't stop yourself for also thinking about yourself. Because I don't think as much about myself. Whether it is my health, my finances, time with my own family. I want to tell my little self that make sure you look after yourself. You know, sometimes I get so carried away with what's happening in the world, with my community, with people that need help. I see that I am not looking after myself as much. I realize that if I am not right, I'm not able to help the community out as much.
That's beautiful.
So yeah.
Thank you, Saima.